Check. G'day, Stu from UAVFutures. Welcome back to Happy Flying, the greatest live stream on earth, if I don't say so myself. This is number 20 and a bit of a special occasion. I just need to go through a couple of audio checks first before we talk what's happening on the show. Hanging out. This is the best part of my working week, and I cannot believe we made it to number 20. Like, that's kind of crazy. I set myself a goal at 10. And here we are, like 20 weeks later. That's coming up to almost half a year. But here we are. Let's go through just a bit of an audio check. If you are in the chat, can you let me know, is this coming through loud and clear? We got Johnny DRC in the chat. I swear he's one of the most loyal viewers of the channel. So a big shout out to him. And also thanks so much for being a Patreon supporter for all the years. And he is here week in, week out. We've got some other people tuning in as well from the USA. So whatever the time is, wherever you are, grab yourself a cup of coffee, grab yourself a drink, just let's hang out. We're going to be talking all things FPV, but today it might be a little bit of a different stream. So like you saw, it is my wife's birthday today. She's taking the day off work, and I'm taking the day off work as well, except for like this part here. So we're going to be doing a live stream, although it might run a little bit shorter, just depends on how many questions we get through. I'm going to try and get through as much as I can. We've got a whole bunch of exciting stuff to talk about. However, I want to go hang out with my wife. We might go out to lunch or do something nice. So that's going to be happening in a little bit as well. Let's double check who's here. We got Green Thumb. He's saying happy birthday, Mrs. Stew. There we go. Is it Rain Squad FPV? We're going to be talking about rain in just a little bit as well. Alabama's here. We got Brandon. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and sorry about the late notice for this stream. I know we're here week in, week out, and I like to put the streams up sometime earlier in the week so people get a little bit of notice. However, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it to this stream, but here we are. And I couldn't be more excited to get here. It was a bit of a scramble, but we're here, ready, set up, ready to rock and roll. But let's go through some of the things we're going to be talking about in FPV. If you're into FPV, if you're chilling in the background, let me know what you would like to discuss, but this is what I've got planned for today. A couple of things I want to talk about. Of course, we're going to touch on mental health. That's why this is called Happy Flying, because it really is important. It might reach that one person out there. It might make a difference in their life. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about whoops a little bit, because the amount of rain we have had here in the last week, it's like, I'll show you some pictures on the screen in just a little bit. It is absolutely crazy. Some floods around here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. I've got something called the Hyperlow i5, which I want to bring some attention to. It's a bit of a one-off frame that is kind of doing some things that I haven't seen before, or at least not in this refined kind of style. So if you want to see some exciting new things, we're going to be talking about that. I can see we've got Stinger Swarm in the chat. He's saying happy birthday. Yesterday was mine. And did you know that Stinger Swarm was actually in Australia? So I actually have this written on my notes when I saw this morning of something I wanted to speak about. Stinger Swarm, if you don't know who that is, like one of the OG members of Rotor Riot, or at least right near the beginning of when Rotor Riot was making some really cool videos. He was in a couple of them, did some trick tutorials. And I think it was Hover X, if my memory serves me correctly, when I first started taking note of his flying. Yeah, I was really jealous of his skills and his abilities. So it looks like he's in the chat as well. Happy birthday, you, Stingy Swarm. Unfortunately, he has left Australia. So maybe next time, just let me know. If anybody's ever coming to Australia and you're coming to the East Coast, send me a message. We can meet up, go for a fly, or just hang out, grab... You guys don't really have it in anywhere else in the world, but when Trappy from TBS was over here and Wayne as well, I was like, man, have you guys ever had... some cordial and a meat pie, and they were like, what are you talking about? So there you go, some Aussie treats we'll have to talk about in a little bit. We're going to be talking about the N3 goggles as well, because I'm pretty excited. We are going to get to play with a set of those. The Avatar repeater, which I have right here. I got some things I want to talk about when I'm talking about that and digital and all that sort of jazz. We're talking about flying with broken batteries, because this is one question. If you want to know about LiPo safety and versus what I do, we'll stay tuned. And of course, answering your questions as well. We're going to be talking about FPV is no longer really a hobby. It is an industry, and I've got some good analogies. I was thinking about this as I was dropping the kids off at school this morning, and just the direction and the future of our hobby, where we're sort of heading towards. And then the last part I had, which we spoke about, was Stinger Swarm. So yeah, he was in Australia, and I was said, please let me know that you're still here. And it turns out he'd already left about a month ago. He just posted that video a little bit later, but he went to the wrong place. He went to Perth, which is like, if you come to Australia, there is Australia, and then there is Perth. Perth feels like a totally different country. I've never been to Perth, but we don't really count it as part of Australia. Like, it is separated by 1,500 miles of desert before it gets to anywhere else. So it's sort of like this isolated little place. What was it like, Stingy? Let me know in the chat as well. Dave S as well saying happy birthday to Stu's wife, and Johnny DRC is saying happy old fart day, Stu. Well, it's not my birthday, it's my wife's birthday, so that's why we're here. The stream might be a little bit shorter. So, all right, other people are talking about the Hyperlow, that looks sweet. But the first thing I want to talk about, jumping into that first topic, as we always start off with our happy flying. The best part of the week for me, connecting with you guys, and this is a bit of a shout out. If anybody is out there and they are struggling, or they're feeling isolated, or they're feeling just disconnected from themselves, or they just want somebody to talk to, please reach out. My Discord is down below, because mental health is a huge part of something that I want to bring awareness to. I've suffered from it in the past, and I don't want anybody else to have to suffer through it. I know that they're going to, but if I can do something to make it a little bit easier for those people out there, just to not feel so alone, not feel so isolated, that's something that I truly believe in. And I'm sure people can put some positive things in the chat as well. And look, if you look at the chat right now, and do you believe in mental health and talking about it and not feeling any shame, or it's not weak to speak, or just would like to support some mental health, you watch this chat, and I'm sure some people in there will speak about its importance, because FPV is a fantastic way to improve your life. And I feel like for some reason there is this strange, maybe we're just more open to it, or maybe it just gives us an avenue to talk about it. But people in FPV, I've seen a lot of people talk about like some of the struggles that they have with mental health and those things. So I don't know if there is a correlation between the two, but I know there is a correlation between our amazing community and FPV and the ability to improve your life through that. So if you're in the chat, if you're the one person listening to this, that is the most important part. You right now, if you're not feeling yourself, please reach out, go and find someone to speak to, whether that be me on Discord or shoot me an email or something. I did have some emails actually, and I don't want to drop any names or anything like that, but just people up for a chat. And they were I usually use Discord, and I try to stick to like WeChat and Discord or email most of the time, because if you contact me on another platform, I'll probably redirect you to that, because between Instagram and Twitter and Facebook Messenger, and what are some of the others? There's like WhatsApp, Discord, email, YouTube comments, like it can kind of get a little bit crazy. So I will usually redirect somebody and say, hey, can you please hit me up on one of these ones? So I do owe somebody an apology who was just up for a chat, but I had to say, hey, we're going to have to talk on Discord or something, because it gets too tricky if I try to monitor all those platforms. Let's see, we got Wind Jumble FPV. Mental health is important, 100% UAV Futures. There you go. I'll give you if I could, can I heart that comment? I probably have to do that on my own side of things. I'll just click the heart button anyway. There you go. And we got Kiz in the chat as well, Loch Ness FPV. And if you've got any questions about FPV, please throw them in the chat, because that's what we're here for. We're just about answering questions, hanging out, having fun. Brendan Beans is saying people in FPV are keen to express feelings on all sorts of stuff, like the feeling we get when we had a sick rip or when we crash. This openness applies to many facets of our life. That's his theory, at least. And I have to say, yeah, I believe, and I'm going to take some credit for some of this part, but just being a positive influence in FPV, I feel like I've been here from the start. I've never really been involved in drama or getting angry at people or gatekeeping the hobby and saying people can't do this. I feel like we have a really good sense of people just like to fly for fun. We have different ability levels, and there is nothing wrong with people flying one way or another. I know in the past I used to cop a bit of flack because I would say, hey, if you want to fly some of these cheaper brands or fly this thing around and have some fun for a really cheap little kit, there is no shame in that. And a bit of respect to, if you know who this is, let me know, because this is going back a fair way. Project Blue Falcon, he, may rest in peace. He was an amazing guy, But he said, if anyone ever told me how to spend my money on a hobby that I would enjoy, I would punch them in the in somewhere where you don't want to get punched anyway. So he was not a violent dude, but yeah, that's exactly right. Don't ever let anybody tell you if you're enjoying something and you want to spend your money on it. That's the main thing, that you're enjoying it, you're having an awesome time. Everybody's got an opinion. It doesn't make their opinion any more right than yours. If you're having fun and you're not hurting anybody, you should be proud to fly whatever you want. And that even goes to the DJI pilots out there, I should say, who like to fly around and film stuff. Like, all the more power to you. If you like flying and filming, that's fantastic. Just don't be breaking any laws or regulations that might reflect poorly on the rest of us. All right. As long as you are having fun, who cares about what others say? Absolutely, Johnny DRC, and other people saying JC is missed. Yeah, truly an amazing person that really, really hit me hard, actually, because we're about, like, we used to chat all the time, not all the time, but as a peer, we would talk to somebody. So when he passed, our channels were about the same size, and we were talking a lot about, things we wanted to do in the future. And it was a really bright time for the hobby. And yeah, his passing was really devastating. That was quite hard. So if you are struggling with mental health and you would like to talk about something, shoot me a message or go to the doctor or get some professional help or just talk to somebody in the Discord. Don't feel like you have to suffer alone, because life's too short, FPV is too fun, and our community is too awesome for you to have to do that by yourself. Man, that feels like it should be like a t-shirt slogan or something. That was pretty good. All right. Last, we're going to jump in and talk about right now. I'm going to show you some pictures of the rain that's been happening around me and the trouble it has caused trying to get some reviews done. And Windy Jumble FPV saying, I have a buddy with a Mavic and I fly FPV and we fly together almost every day. Whatever you do, it's one love, never be a hater. Yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie. I need to show you this. So the first thing I want to talk about very quickly, the amount of rain we have had in this last week is insane. So I'm going to show you this little news article. And it is cars swamped as the heaviest rains in 20 years hits parts of southeast Queensland, which wasn't fantastic if you're into flying, unless you have maybe a waterproof drone. But even then, it's never too fun to fly in the rain. Let me show you this. Jump over here to a screen share. Sorry about this. This was just like the top Google hit. This news station is absolutely garbage and full of propaganda most of the time. However, you can see here they do have a couple of pictures of just the amount of rain. Look at this. We've got some nice. At least they've got their ads correct. You know what I've been searching. I've been looking at YMZ FPV Lightning V2s. Anyway. Yeah, the amount of rain we have had has been ridiculous, which was a little bit of a shame because we had some places booked away for my wife's birthday and it rained the whole time. The kids didn't mind too much. We did get to the beach for like 20 minutes. We must have timed it perfectly and it looked like there was a break and we went there and like, oh, this is nice. We had a little quick swim and then it started to rain. So we had to pack up back to the hotel. But yeah, if you are in southeast Queensland at the moment, it's a very, very sketchy time, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because I know a lot of people get nagged about mowing the lawn. I actually like mowing the lawn here, except I can't do that at the moment because it is absolutely swamped outside. If I go outside, the mower would get bogged in the ground, and I wouldn't be able to do anything, which is a shame because it's getting like dangerously high where it's going to make it even tougher next time, and I don't want any snakes or anything like that crawling through my yard. So anyway, that's sort of the weather wrap up. If you've just tuned in, this is the Happy Flying number 20. Let's get in, talk about drones, answer your FPV questions. If you've got some specifics, throw them in the chat because we're going to do that right now and have a look at the first thing, and this is the Hyperlow i5. Any vets, because I've lost a few friends who serve, please. Oh, okay. And Rain Squad saying to any vets also, because I've lost a few friends who serve, please reach out and get help. And yeah, if you're someone who serves the community or your country, FPV is a great way, and the community is a great way to talk to people and have something to do together. Before I show you this i5, that's something I believe in too. Is like, it's like fishing, right? When I am fishing or when I'm flying drones, it is so easy to talk to my mates. Men communicate, and that's 99% of our hobby according to my analytics, what I call shoulder to shoulder. So we are looking out there. We are fishing, we are flying, looking at the drone, looking at the ocean, whatever it's going to be, and your mate's doing the same next to you. It's not like women who seem to, and I am generalizing, but who like to talk face to face, like, hey, let's go to coffee and talk about our feelings. I can't really do that, but if I'm like just talking while I'm doing something shoulder to shoulder, that's great. So if you want that opportunity, that's what's good at, like, drones are really, really, really good at that. All right, let's have a look here at this. This is the Hyperlow i5, and I saw this the other day. This is about 5 days ago that this popped up. This is on Reddit, and this frame I think looks really, really cool. This is kind of I'm not going to say it's an efficient thing. It is just like a cool little side project. I was trying to search as much info as I could of this, and it says, no, this is just a one-off that this guy has made. He's had it sitting around for months while I focused on cine lifters, but I plan on doing some tuning and flying soon. If I don't end up sending it, I'll release the files. It's a fun build. And if we jump over here, it looks like it's a 5-inch. It could be a 6-inch. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to turn the sound off so I don't get a copyright strike. Oh, and isn't it crazy? Did you guys ever watch this dude? Sorry. If someone knows his name, I don't want to skip out of this video and go to that, but he used to do FPV, I believe. Let's see if I open this in a new tab. What is this guy's channel name? Is it? There we go. Funk FPV. I mean, that's all he does now is watch other people's videos on like breaking tools and everything like that. But I feel like it's interesting. He used to do some things with FPV. Anyway, let's have a look at the Hyperlow i5. So the first thing you'll notice is these arms. They're not just like a single piece of carbon. It's like held up on like a strange 45-degree angle, locked in the middle there. You don't see many craft like this, and the reason you wouldn't see that because it's not simple. It's going to be a lot heavier. We have a pretty standardized shape for a good reason, but that doesn't mean that this isn't exciting. I'm all about like trying new things and testing out new components. So we've got a pusher quad there. Those LEDs, are they LEDs or ESCs? I'm not too sure actually whether he's. No, they're LEDs because you've got a 4-in-1 ESC in the middle. The Hyperlow i5, that's it. It looks like a QAV Pro X8. Okay, maybe I'll have to have a Google of what that's like in just a little bit. I did like how he has the antennas on the outside right here. I thought that was pretty cool. And then this is it, like the finished product. I don't know if we actually get a little bit of a flight. If this was me, maybe, like, why isn't the antenna at the back? That's sort of like the only thing that I can think of. But yeah, it's not every day you get a craft like this that comes along. This reminds me in like 2017, we used to have a whole bunch of like exciting designs. People tried to do all these things until we realized, I don't actually have one here. Well, I've got a little X shape right here. Look at this, another discussion of the Lightning. Like a little X frame or a cross frame is about as simple as it gets, and we don't really need to do too much more to get some amazing performance. But that doesn't mean maybe there's some different functions here. If that's going to be hanging something heavy off the middle, like I'm not too sure. Does he do a flight? So anyway, a really, really cool, clean little build that I haven't seen anything on. So stay tuned. If we can, I'll try and get a little bit more info, but it's not every day you see something like that. And I thought, yeah, I want to maybe draw some attention. Let me know what you think about it. Google this is from Brandon. Google the QAV Pro from Lumineer and Cinequads. I have a client with one, and I'm very familiar with it. They're very much borrowing from it, not throwing shade, just saying, okay, let's have a look at that right now. We'll get this on the screen. See how similar it is. QAV Pro Lifter. Look. That didn't come up well. That just went to. This is from 1 year ago. A Cinewoop build. No. Ooh, this one's like $3,000. Okay. All right, let's have a look at this. This is jumping over here. If you got a spare $3,000, but it's on sale, so you get $1,000 off. Can we zoom in and have a bit of a better look at this? Similar arm structure. Look, we've got a red. I guess you're not going to be worried about paying $3,000 if you've got like a red camera on the top. That's going to be like change as far as I know anyway. Maybe Nerk FPV would have some things to say. Is that a 6-inch quad or a 5-inch? Definitely some big chunky motors. Yeah, really, this is actually pretty cool. And okay, like that just makes my gyro hurt. Looking at this right now, trying to keep that stable. You can see how old it is actually by sort of like the hardware that we have inside. So when this was made, we've got like a DJI V1, the very first version that came out, I think, in the center right here. Yeah, I don't know how this would fly. It doesn't look like the center of gravity is great when it comes to that orientation right there, but definitely a use case, or else they wouldn't be around, right? Someone's saying a great price right now. All things repeat themselves. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. And I wonder if this is a real mock-up. Actually, if they actually have a real camera here, I'll have to ask Andy what the story is behind getting some of these pictures. I know Nerk FPV does a lot with this stuff as well. I feel like a lot of people in YouTube then moved off to different avenues to focus on some other things. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool little quad. The next thing that I need to speak about is the DJI Goggles N3. So these bad boys, I am really, really excited to say that I have a pair of these coming in the post. Super stoked because I, fingers crossed, cannot wait to try an upgraded set of DJI goggles. So I currently fly around with it's like version 1.5, whatever came out in like, what is it, like 2018? Not the very first set of goggles, the set after that. And actually traded some drones and whole kits for that. So a big shout out to Cody if he ever is still into FPV. But this here will be the first time that I'll be flying around with some new DJI goggles, and I am hoping that they're going to be able to connect with the O3 Air unit. That's probably the biggest thing that I need to worry about. I don't know why DJI wouldn't do that. And then fingers crossed, we'll be able to work them with the O4 Air units as well. Someone says, do you have some O3 quads? Yeah, I got heaps of quads because you can actually connect them up to the DJI Goggles 1.5 or whatever it was, the second iteration, not to be confused with the Goggles 2 or the Integras or the 3s. The second iteration of the first goggles, you can put them in a mode which will bind up to the O3 Air units. But yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to come through. I don't know why DJI wouldn't make this compatible, but you let me know in the chat. If you're $1 billion industry, would you just release this and then only make it bind up to the O4? Because if that's the case, everybody's going to have to go and buy a pair of these goggles to fly around with the O4 Air units. However, I feel like the O3 goggles are probably still better than these. Like, they're significantly more expensive. These ones are about $230. The O3s are about, what are they, like 500 or something US off the top of my mind. I bet that works with the O3 after 45 days. Yeah, maybe I'll have to wait a little while. That's just one of the problems with a monopoly or such a strong, large competitor in the goggle industry. We're at their mercy. So if DJI decides to do something that we don't like, we don't really have any recourse besides going to buy a competitor's goggle or a competitor's product. But in terms of what the O4 Air unit is offering, it looks like it's going to be very, very difficult to beat. Now, speaking of one of their competitors, that is this bad boy. So Cliff Field is saying, I don't think FPV outside of conflict going on is anywhere near a $1 billion industry. I think FPV chicken feed for DJI. Yeah, you're right. But that's still like chicken feed of $1 billion industry is still an awful lot of chicken feed versus what we've got when we got the likes of like CADX and Walksnail and those things. Now this here, the avatar repeater, is actually something that it sounds like it's mainly made for conflict zones. So we've got this here, but I want to talk about it a little bit because I want to do some testing. However, the way this works, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So let me open this up. Sorry, I got a few cords and things around. And this is one of the failings that CADX has that I feel. I really like CADX products. I really like the Walksnail system. I fly around with the little air unit all the time. Like, it is the favorite. This is my favorite quad right here. This has got CADX inside, or Walksnail, I should say. And even when it's married up to like the cheap Goggles L, it is an absolute banger to rip this thing around, have an awesome time. However, here's the problem. This is one of the things that CADX don't do well. It's like all the little extras and that little bit of polish, they don't do, or it just sort of slips their mind, or someone should be double checking these things because that's what's holding them back. And that's what frustrates people. When people buy DJI, it seems to, for the most part, just have its own ecosystem. That works. You don't need to muck around too much. They sort of provide you everything that you need to do. CADX, on the other hand, it's sort of like it ships you these things, and then you have to like figure it out and be like, oh, I don't have that part, or I've got to go do a bit of extra work. And that really annoys people. So it annoys me anyway. So the way that this works, right, is we've got our unit here, and then we get some antennas, and we've got our 5.5. I'm sure you have to put these on the correct side right here. So we're just going to put one on for demonstration purposes, and I'm not going to be turning this on without doing that. And then on the other side, we have a 5.2 gigahertz antenna. So we put this on. Cliff is saying, I think we tend to overestimate the size of the hobby because we all love it so much and we want to make it so. I don't think DJI would even feel it if they dropped FPV at all, and I might be way wrong. Yeah, I don't think DJI, like in terms of their profits, would be like, doesn't matter. Okay, so this little unit right here, and I've got this, is supposed to like act as a middleman to extend the range. So when I'm wearing my goggles, this worked out well. These are all right here. So when I'm wearing my goggles and I want to fly a bit of a longer range mission, I put this like at the limits of where I can fly to, and then I can send the drone even further than that. So my goggles will communicate to here. This will repeat and communicate further onto my drone. So then my drone, it's even further away. It's communicating back to here and sending the signal back to my goggles. Now, there's a couple of limitations with it. And obviously it makes it, I'm going to say, you're able to do a lot of things that you can't do by normal line of sight, whether that be around something. Their picture, they like to show it at the top of a mountain. I feel like it is 99% made for conflict zones or one-way missions. There might be some other use case scenarios, and that could be like racing in terms of like in stadiums and things like that, where you need a system that has the ability to be like in a different location, whether you got the pilots in one room and people racing in a stadium in the other, although you're going to introduce some negligible latency. However, wouldn't you think, and this goes out to CADX, like I'm looking here, you need special antennas to be able to do this, because the drone, right, it's going to be still talking on 5.8 and it talks to 5.8 on this thing. Then the repeater says, hey, we'll talk to your goggles in 5.2. That's great. So you need to put some 5.2 goggles on 5.2 antennas on your goggles. Do you think it might be a good idea, CADX, to include some 5.2 antennas for your goggles inside the package? So when you've got here, because as it stands, I don't have those. So how am I meant to communicate with the repeater? Do I have to go and buy those separately? So if I was somebody who was buying this product, I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, I think I've got everything. And then, oh no, I need to go make another purchase. I need to buy some different antennas to communicate with that. Now, look, I could be wrong. I haven't done a deep dive on this. I've had it for about a week and I've just sort of looked at it, read a little bit through the documentation. I haven't done any filming. I haven't done any testing. I haven't even powered it on. This is just like my general observations looking at it. Maybe you set it up in a different way. Maybe there's some sort of setting that can make these better tuned for 5.2. And if that's the case, then I'm wrong, right? But it feels like you're supposed to put 5.2 goggles, antennas on your goggles and have them communicate with the repeater. I can't do that unless you send them in the box. Like, I don't know how much, that might be like what, $3, $5 extra on a $500 product. And they haven't done that. This is one of the things that CADX needs to do in terms of lifting their game. Like, anybody who sent the, I don't know, it just kind of makes me furious because they make good stuff. They just keep making stupid mistakes. And I know Mads Tech talks about it all the time as well. Like, that sort of stuff, it isn't surprising that CADX drops the ball on these little things when they've got something good or at least something a little bit different. And this is different. This is one of the first times I've seen a system like this. And I know DJI has had some repeaters in the past, but in terms of a system like this one, I'm excited to try it. I don't know the use cases that most hobbyists will have. In a conflict zone, it's going to have a lot of uses, and in maybe some other applications in terms of like broadcasting or something, it could also fit into that. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong here? Like, if you were going to make a product where customers need to swap out their antennas, right, would you include those antennas in the box? I'm not totally crazy. I mean, I don't design FPV products. I've never put my name on any product or anything, but if I was going to, that would be like, I would go through those testing things before it gets out there. I don't know. Who am I? Just some random Aussie YouTuber talking at it. Cliff is saying, I think Walksnail is due for an update, but unless they design their own, what's SOCSs, etc., it might be difficult. Is that something like silicon and chips, or I'm not too sure. DJI is making the world's best e-bike too, and one of the most unique cinema cameras, and the Zen Muse camera system is pretty good, although very locked in. And Johnny DRC is saying, I can't afford DJI. Well, it's interesting you say that, because like this, like where this is about, that's Australian dollars with our Australian tax included. So our government does some weird things when we're looking at things online, which makes it annoying trying to price things for the rest of the world. But I believe they're about $230 US. So a similar spec to some of the Walksnail in terms of price. But I'm really, really excited to test these out, because look, I am not a fanboy or like of just any one particular goggle. I wish them all the greatest success. And what I don't want is just the rest to die away and have one dominant company who just basically has a monopoly on anything. I want HD0 to do well. I want Walksnail to do well. I want IPC to like make some amazing gains. And I'm really excited for what IPC is going to offer. And DJI, look, they're bringing some great stuff to the market as well. So I think competition is really good. And people forget, without CADX, without Walksnail, we would never have a system like this. We would never have the small 04 air units coming at a comparable price. They would be so much more expensive. So you just have a look at the other generations as well. Like, this goggle is half the price of what every other DJI goggle has ever been. And I think that one of the major reasons for that is Walksnail. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to answer a couple of questions. If you do have that, throw it system on a chip. Okay, that's what Cliff's talking about. Yeah, upgrading might be hard if you you don't control everything. But I don't know too much about the ins and outs of silicon and designing chips and anything like that. I'm just like a nerdy guy who likes to fly RC drones in the park with his friends, and then I just film it and talk to you guys about it. No crazy brains going on here anyway. Just someone who talks a lot to the camera and likes to film some things. Let's see. You have the Neo, right? No. So I am hoping these goggles we'll be able to get some updates that will let these work with some air units, or maybe some 04 air units when they drop. It's just nice to have a new set of goggles that I think DJI would be crazy not to let us use or be compatible with the rest of their ecosystem. Walksnail just needs to stop putting out half-baked products and making us beta testers and giving us complete products. Yeah, I think so. I am quite happy with like the way the FPV system works in terms of Walksnail, in terms of just a pair of goggles that connects up to an awesome little air unit I can rip around and have fun. That is great. As far as like the other parts, when it talks to like analog in or like working with the app or like the head tracking, those parts, it is annoying that they promise these and sort of keep fumbling it, but it is nowhere near as bad as if they were just fumbling the actual FPV feed. If they were fumbling the air units and they just would stop working after 1 minute, or you couldn't record DVR, and or like maybe introduce some crazy latency, the actual flight experience flying with CADX is great. I like it. All the other little extras that they fumble, I feel like gives them a bad name that doesn't. They've got good bones underneath. It's just the little paint and the extras and the polish can sometimes detract from that. Anyway, Walksnail still is, with all that said and done, my favorite system of choice. We've got Anthony saying, sorry, late to the chat. And this part I want to talk about. If you've got any questions too, throw them down below. I can see CAWP is question about my Mob 8. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Because I think I have that somewhere. Here we go. That was really weird. This was like already highlighted on here. There can't be some AI that can understand my voice and highlight something here. All right. Question about my Mobula 8 when I fly it really close. The link quality is fine, but the VTX signal is -20 to -30. And when I fly a little further, it goes to -70. And then my signal would cut out. So what's your question there? Like, why is that happening? If you're talking about your link quality, that's like your radio and your reception, and you're probably using ELRS. If I had to take a guess, you're probably flying around on 2.4. That is going to go a lot further. Generally, your control link for flying something around is significantly better than your video link, because like video is the limiting factor in 99% of flights. There might be some weird obscure situations where that's not the case, but if you're flying around your mob, your link quality is basically going to be rock solid. I can fly this tiny little thing till the battery fell out, basically. Like, it could go so far with a little antenna like this. Even if you're using a little ceramic antenna, they're not my favorite for long range, but you shouldn't be going, too far. But you can still go far enough, especially if you're just flying around with the Mob 8. Your video is going to be dropping off. When I fly a little further, it goes to -70, and then my signal would cut out. So yeah, -70 should be fine. Like, in terms of reception, your video is just going to cut off. Like, this is something people need to understand as well. Depending on the power level and like the noise floor, the only way to get more range is either increasing the amount of power that your quad is using, or reducing the noise floor of the environment around you, and having like some antenna gain or some ways to sort of amplify that reception. And it depends how far. Like, you can't be going long range missions with a little Mob 8. It just doesn't work that way. I don't know. That's sort of why that's why it's happening. It's just I need to know how far you actually are flying and on what power levels, and then I can give you, like, in terms of video, then I can give you an answer, CAWP, as to why. Is that typical, or is that an atypical response that's happening from your drone? Johnny D is saying, I'm very happy with Walksnail. And WAV13, is there a benchmark you'd recommend for going from Sims to the real deal? So thanks for your question here. Where is this? So in terms of like flying around in a sim and transitioning to real life quads, a sim is one of the best things that you can do. Some of the ones that I really like to fly, and here is the secret that people can get a little bit too into, like they can become too biased towards one. It doesn't matter what sim you fly, it will teach you leaps and bounds. Like, it will wire your brain and those neurons and those connections so much quicker than going out to the field and practicing and crashing and breaking. I started before Sims, and let me tell you, I didn't find it an easy task. It was quite daunting. It was quite scary. No matter what sim you fly, though, it's the way to go. Like, even my 7-year-old daughter, yeah, sorry, I forgot her age there. Even she flies around. She can fly around on the sim. And she has flown around in real life as well, but I wouldn't let her do that without practicing on the sim. As far as whichever one works for you, I'm going to recommend, and this is going to get some people upset, get the cheap ones, get the free ones. Like, at least try that out. There's other benefits that come with some of the paid ones, but like Real Drone Simulator, I believe that is free. I've done a video of it here. Look, I'll be able to get it up on the screen somewhere. And look, if you've got some great sims in the chat, let me know. Let Wolf13 know what would you recommend. Real Drone Simulator. This is a free download. And screen share. So, and it's not bad. Like, this is more than enough to actually fly around and have a good time, practice your skills. I know if you would like to try FPV Air, I've got some keys for that. It's a really old sim, but I liked how it felt. The graphics are terrible. It looks really like it's made by like one guy, but I still put a lot of time into it. It still felt fast and flowy, and that's what I really liked about it, even though it looks like it, and it can run on a potato, I should say as well. So if you would like one of that, just send me a little message on Discord or put a link, ask me in the chat on a comment after this live stream, and I'll reply with some sim keys there. So yeah, but then you've got some other ones that are really good as well. Like I know Liftoff has some things, although I don't like the pricing, how Liftoff split the community between micro and main size drones. We've got Velocidrone. We have Uncrashed, which is a pretty decent one as well. Like if you just go to Steam, I'm hoping you know what Steam is. It's basically like the iTunes of video games, and you should be able to find some FPV sims on there. But the big answer is use anything to start with, anything that's free. Real Drone Simulator, you're gonna go a long way. And then from there, if you really like it, if you maybe want to get into like racing when it's raining and you want some extra features, some have track builders, some have like community races that happen in them. So there's a whole bunch of little things. Like some are specifically made just for flying micros, so it can feel a little bit more like real life. And at the end of the day, this is the part that also no one wants to, no simulator companies want to admit, but they don't feel like the real thing. They don't. There has never been a sim that I have flown that has felt like the real thing. They either feel like a little bit floaty, or they feel like the physics are just off a little bit, or the scale is wrong. The drones feel too big, or the environments are too small, or I'm going too fast, or not fast enough. My hang time feels, whatever it is, it has never felt like the real thing. And you think of it as like a tool. You're still going to get the muscle memory. You're still going to connect those neurons. Don't focus on, is it going to feel like the real thing? Do I change this little setting? And people will argue with you and fight with you in the chat. I've been doing this for 10 years. And let me tell you, it is a tool. So then you can take those skills and they can transfer out to the field, to real life, when you can fly around and have fun, hopefully crash less, practice some new things, and not break as much as your FPV gear. And Cliff is saying, here we go. Cliff Field is saying, buy a ready to fly kit and have a ball. Yeah, whoops are a great way to learn as well. I think if you've got a little tiny whoop or something to fly around indoors, it's a great way to start. So let me know, Mr. 13, if you have ever flown before. We might be able to help you as well. Let's see. CWAP is saying, do you think it would be good just to add an external VTX because I fly like 50 feet in front of me and then it would cut out? Okay, so this is going back here to the Mob 8. You should be getting more than 50 feet. You can also change the power levels inside your VTX. So if you go in there, you don't need an external VTX at all. That's not going to help in this situation unless something is broken, which I don't think it is. Here's my steps to double check that you're getting the right frequency. So now we've established like how far, now we've established what you're flying with your Mob 8. This is how I would go about trying to get the best experience. So make sure, number one, you've set your power levels correctly, because if you go into the OSD, you should be able, I think it's like features, VTX, and you can set the band and channel that you want to fly around on. Please, that needs to marry up to your goggles. If that frequency is not on the exact same one, you are going to have a significantly like drastically reduced reception of your drone. Think of it as like two people talking. They've got to be speaking the same language. And then maybe you can be on a similar channel or someone speaking a very similar language and they can like understand a few words, a little bit of information is getting back and forth. And then they can be speaking languages which are totally different and there is no communication between the two. There's no real information being understood. It's the same with drones. If you don't have your channel on your headset on the exact specified and matched channel that the drone is on, you're going to be getting terrible reception. If I hold, and this is all analog here, I've got a little analog cord here. If I hold this to my face and it is on like 5745, which might be like, I don't know what, race band 1 or something like that, I will still pick that up on 5740, which is Fat Shark 1 on my goggles because they are so close. But as this flies away, maybe that 50 feet, that's when it's going to drop out because it's like, hey, I'm speaking French and the goggles are listening for English. They're kind of similar, but not really. Now we've lost it. So if they're both speaking English, if they're both on 5740, that's where you're going to get the best reception. That would be my number one recommendation. Now, Johnny DRC, I didn't forget you, brother. I just wanted to answer a couple of those questions. He's saying, buy your wife a glass of wine. So thank you very much there for that super chat, brother. I don't know if you can get, like, our exchange rate's not that bad, but I don't think I can get a glass of wine for $2 US here. I might be able to get a lollipop or something at the shops, but that doesn't matter. The important part is I want to say thank you very much, brother. I will spend that $2. I will take a photo and say this is from Johnny DRC. So whatever I get for that $2, I will post it in the Discord down below and say that's from Johnny DRC. He's saying he wasn't worried about it. I know you weren't, brother. I just wanted to let you know that you are appreciated. And thank you very much there, good sir. Just tuning in week in, week out, an absolute legend. Brandon is saying, I got the privilege, and we're going to talk about in just a little bit, I do want to talk about batteries, and I'm conscious a little bit of the time, but I want to answer your questions as well. I got the privilege of learning how to fly a 3D heli with no sim, just ping pong ball dowel and landing gear and bouncing around, stirring up dust in the garage. That sounds very, very scary. I don't think I would love to see a heli fly. I don't ever want to have a go because I'm worried like how much I would break it and how expensive some of those things are. And Wav is saying, I do know what Steam is. I'm 21, been ripping around in liftoff and having a blast. Thanks to recommendations. I'll be keeping this all in mind. Yeah, well, man, if you got liftoff, like that's more than enough that you will need. If you actually do you have a drone to fly around there, WOV 13? Because liftoff sort of has everything covered that you would need as a beginner. Okay. And Props Off is saying, Stu, how much is a 6-pack of good brew? Like if we're talking beer, that's probably about probably about 15 American dollars. So maybe like 22 Australian dollars or something if I have to double check. So that's coming in from Props Off there. So anyway, let's have a look. Next thing, moving on, because I'm conscious of the time. Shout out, it is my wife's birthday, even though I'm here doing some work. I promised I wouldn't be too long streaming, but this is the best part of my working week. I love tuning in with you guys. This is stream number 20, and I just want to say thank you for everybody that has been here, for everything that you've done for this channel, and I hope you get something out of it, because I definitely do. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of this hobby, and you guys are absolutely amazing. So the last thing that I think I will talk about here is, because I did have Stinger Swarm in the US, and I did want to talk about flying with broken batteries a little bit, and also FPV is no longer a hobby, and a good example of that is sort of where our industry is heading. However, I think that I'm going to say thank you. So thank you for everybody who's tuned in. I think like it's 10:50. I think I will end it a little bit early in a couple of minutes. I'll just answer these last couple of little questions. But yeah, I just want to say thanks. Like, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, for being an FPV for 10 years, I never thought that I'd be here. I never thought we'd have, like, something I try to do as well when I'm live streaming is, if I look over here, okay, so we've got 64 people watching, which is crazy. I never thought I'd be here talking to, 65, I don't like the word strangers because it really does feel like we're part of this amazing UAV Futures family, but to be here talking to you, hanging out, I never thought we'd be like this 10 years ago. When I started FPV, there was no FPV community. I know I've told the story before, but going to the shops and saying to the dude behind the counter at the local hobby store, hey, I want to try flying around drones and FPV, and he told me to go buy a big petrol-powered, nitro-powered plane and said, oh, you got to start your own community. And I thought, oh, okay, and went home and Googled, and there really was no FPV community. So to be able to start something and be involved in that from the start of this real, we used to call them mini quads or like 5 inches, sub 250s, whatever they were. It's been life-changing, and I want to say thank you. So thank you to everybody who is here. For those 50, 60 people watching, a huge heartfelt thank you, because this lets me do something that I love. And without your support, I wouldn't be able to do this. And I hope that people get something from it as well, whether it be FPV, whether it just be connecting with some people in a community, whether it be somebody who might be suffering from their mental health and they just need that little bit of encouragement, or someone talking about it so they don't feel so isolated and alone. Whatever we can do on this channel and whatever I can do to share the love of this hobby, it truly is my pleasure. I feel blessed to be able to do that. We got Cliff. He's saying, I cannot let that Johnny dude have all the limelight. Cheers, Stu / Stu. Thank you very much there, Cliff, you legend, with some NZ dollars as well. So sending some Kiwi love over the ocean. And Props Office saying, nah, I smashed the like button and it didn't hurt at all. Double thumbs up there. And that's something I try to do as well. Like, if I have a look here, I should probably refresh, but you guys are the important part of this stream. And this is something, all jokes aside, that I really want to make clear. When I do this, it is to talk and hang out with you guys. Like, I don't have to do the streams. It's just something that I love to do. The people who are here in the chat, the people that I get to hang out with and connect with. And this might be different to what other streamers do, but I don't look at any of the analytics. I never know how many people are watching. I never look at the likes or anything like that, because all that, it doesn't matter. I don't care how many people are actually watching the stream. I don't care how many people are actually pressing that like button. What I care about is the people who are here, the people who are watching, the part of the UAV Futures family who are here week in, week out. You guys right now listening, that's the part that counts, right? Like, all that internet stuff and those numbers and that analytics, I couldn't give two stuffs about that stuff. You people watching this right now, you're the important ones. And I want to finish the stream by saying, you guys are important. You're valued. You are special. And thanks so much for being part of this amazing FPV community. And it is amazing because of you, like, because of people like you. That's why it is so good. So anyway, that's going to be it for the birthday stream. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Thank you to my patrons and the people who sent through some little birthday. I've got $7 now to go and spend on the wife. So there we go. I'll take a photo. We'll find something. I don't know what we're going to get her. But I will post it in the link down below in like my Discord as well. And I can see, sorry, CAWP, I don't want to leave you hanging here. He's saying, I am on the correct frequency, but I get really bad signal. I think I might have to get an external VTX. You've got what goggles are you using here? So make sure you've got the goggles, the antenna on correctly. If you need to increase that signal strength, and double check in the OSD. I mean, you can try with an external VTX. I just want to make sure that we explore all options before you have to go out and spend those extra dollars, if we can fix it some other way. Have you tried changing the power levels and things as well? You could just have dodgy antennas. It depends on your goggles as well. Like, you need good antennas and a good, not a good set of goggles, but definitely a diversity does help. But you should be getting more than 50 feet regardless. Props off for saying, but Stu, thumbs up pushes your YouTube algorithm, though, makes more people see the stream and exposes the hobby more. Yeah, it does. It's a double-edged sword. I agree. Like, it is great if people want to do that on their own accord. But for me, what I was trying to say with like the thumbs up and the viewers and things, it's just the important part is the people watching it, you watching it right now, rather than chasing the numbers and chasing the likes and those sorts of things. It's you guys watching it. So, alrighty. Other than that, I'm going to say subscribe for more FPV related content. I do have some things coming out. I did have a video that is sort of filmed with this, but unfortunately I filmed it a little bit out of focus, which was really annoying in terms of the studio. So I'm not too sure how I'm going to handle that, whether I need to reshoot. This will be the third reshoot that I've done of this, if that is the case, because we had an analog one as well. Yeah, and we've got some other things coming. The avatar repeater might take a little bit because I need to track down some other antennas. We've got some, just a whole bunch of stuff that I've got on the calendar coming out. Thanks so much for tuning in. CAWP is saying, yeah, I've tried everything. I can't find the issue with the VTX. I can't find the issue with this VTX. After I crashed it, this issue came up. Okay, that's probably a good indicator that, yes, you might have broken something. Now, I don't know what the antenna is like on that Mob 8, but please double check the end that the antenna is correct on there. If it's got a little UHFL connector or something, make sure that it hasn't just popped off. If it is an antenna that is like direct soldered, so we can see. So even in this little one, let's see if we can zoom in right here. Come on, focus. So where is it? There is a tiny little UHFL connector in. This is not going to work, but yeah, there's a tiny little connector in there that your FPV antenna will be connected to. That might be sitting there, but it's not correctly pressed down. So please double check that. That might have come off. If you've had a hard crash and it's broken, that would definitely have some reasons why you can't get more than 50 feet. And if it has come off and you've been flying around without it, there is a chance that you've burnt out your VTX. So you definitely don't want to power up a video transmitter without the antenna connected, because it will short it. It will burn it out. Not short it, but it will burn it out. Cool. All right, Chippy is saying, Stu out here trying to make me cry. No, brother, trying to make you feel loved and special, because you are. All right, on that, subscribe for more FPV-related content. I will be back next week, week in, week out, with Happy Flying number 21. So something I'm pretty proud of, actually. That's some good weeks and a good goal that I've set, and I love doing these streams as well. So, all right, I'm going to go hang out with my wife for her birthday. See you guys.